Do you want to generate record views and sales from YouTube in 2026, but you are not sure how? Well, in 2025, I made well over $4 million from this YouTube channel, and it only happened because I became obsessed with 4 things: not subscribers, not click-through rates, and not retention. So in this video, I'm going to show you what those obsessions are and how you can use them to make 2026 your best year on YouTube ever. So let's start with obsession number 1, which causes 99% of videos to get less views. And I've never heard anyone talk about this before. And it's all about obsessing over how your viewer's brain actually works. The thing is, if you don't understand this, you can't design your videos in the best way for people to actually engulf your content, meaning it fails. So here's how it works. So I want you to imagine that my hand is your viewer's brain, and every single ball that I put into it is one thing that their brain has to pay attention to. So ball 1, this is when your viewer has clicked your video because your title and thumbnail made a promise. So their brain stores that expectation. Now ball 2, this is when you start talking and their brain is checking, is this video actually about what I clicked on? And then we have ball 3, your structure. And it gets messy. You jump between topics a bit, and their brain's going, hang on a sec, where is this actually going? And then you throw in ball 4, another tangent. This is an unrelated detail or a story that isn't tied to the original promise you gave them, and that is when your video dies. Because science shows us we have something called a working memory. Basically, your short-term memory for listening and learning can only hold around 3 things at once. So when you add that 4th ball, their brain has to drop something. And if it drops the original promise or the thread of your point or the reason that they clicked, viewers instantly get lost and they start thinking, wait, why am I watching this? Is he ever going to get to the point? What is this even about? And that makes them overloaded, and then they get frustrated, and then as a result, they'll leave. So how do you stop that happening? Actually keep people watching your videos? Well, this is where the first obsession comes in. So at the start of 2025, I started studying authors and creators and basically the world's top personal brands because I wanted to understand what made their content so popular. And I noticed that they all do the same simple thing that stops that overload happening. They put their information in a specific order, and that's it. So let me show you what this order is and how it works. Let's take muscle-bound caveman Alex Hormozy as an example. What he tends to do is he'll start each point with a clear problem business people already feel, like most people can't scale their businesses because their offer sucks, or most founders are allergic to doing boring things consistently. And then he gives one example after that, like a real-life story that shows what that problem looks like. Something like, so when I was down to my last dollar at gym launch, I had to get focused. And then he'll unpack the story. And then after that, he gives you, whoops. And then after the story's finished, he basically gives you one clear lesson or a rule that can be applied to yourself. So the structure is problem, example, lesson. And now you know this, you're going to start to see this pattern absolutely everywhere. But why does that get their content so much traction? Well, it's because it reduces something called cognitive load, where instead of dumping information randomly and overloading your viewer's working memory, it layers complexity one step at a time instead. And the reason that structure works is because when you start by calling out the problem your viewer has, it makes it clear to the viewer, oh, this is relevant to me and what I clicked on. So they are hooked and they pay attention and they stop searching for if this is what they wanted in the first place. Then, when you follow it up with an example, like a story that shows how someone solved the problem, it adds another layer of information on without too much detail. It's just a soft introduction. This enables the viewers to then get a basic understanding. And then they give the lesson, which has a bit more detail on top. And that exact order is basically what makes information click. And when something clicks, this is the fun part, it then leaves the working memory and it moves to the long-term memory. And that is known as a light bulb moment, where someone truly understands something. But the real power of this is, once that idea has moved out of working memory, you've just freed up a ton of space for your next point. So you just repeat this pattern over and over again throughout a video. You can do it 10, 20, 30 times in a row without overloading your viewer. I think this one obsession has made me more money last year than any title or thumbnail or editing trick I've ever picked up on, because once people truly understand what you're teaching, They just want more from you. This next obsession I had was the solution to the biggest problem on YouTube right now. So I realized what the secret to YouTube is when I went to see the band Madness live. Now you might know him for this song. And when I was listening to them, I thought, you know what? Suggs, their lead singer, he's not a very good singer. He kind of sings, yet they are still one of the most famous ska bands of all time. And then I thought, hang on, Mick Jagger, the frontman of the Rolling Stones, his voice is all kind of wobbly. I don't think he'd make it past round 1 of America's Got Talent with that. And then you've got Ian Astbury from The Cold, who sounds like this. And I thought, how did a band get so big when the frontman sounds like he's doing an impression of the guy from Police Academy?
Did you ever think about like maybe getting some contact lenses?
All of these people are world famous for the exact same reason, even though they kind of suck in a weird way. And the reason is because in a sea of musicians copying each other's sound, these guys took their genre and then added something that made it unique. And that made them stick out from everyone else in their niche with a less memorable sound. And YouTube works in exactly the same way. If you want to stand out in 2026, you can't make the same video with the same advice in the same tone and expect the same results as the bigger channels already doing it better than you. You have to come up with your own unique sound, not try and copy someone else's. But how do you do that? Well, it comes from 3 things that you need to work on religiously. Firstly, your worldview. You need to think about how you interpret the same problems everyone else is talking about with your own unique spin. Secondly, your delivery style. You need to work out your pacing, your humor, your honesty, your energy, and create just a memorable vibe that people come back for. And then thirdly, your structure. You need to organize information in a way that just makes it easier for people to understand than everyone else in your niche. The thing is, if you apply the process I taught you earlier and become a master of reducing cognitive load, your unique sound will naturally appear because the creators who explain things more clearly than everyone else, well, that's their unique edge. Now, my next obsession was something almost every business owner gets wrong. And I am convinced this is one of the biggest reasons last year was so big for me. So in 2025, I worked with over 500 businesses very closely. And so many of them said, Ed, I'm getting views, but they're not converting to sales. And almost every time they followed it up with, should I just pitch my offer more and maybe earlier in my video? And the answer is no. You don't need to pitch your offer in your videos ever to get sales. Because the real reason your viewers don't click your links and go to your sales page is because they don't trust you, not because they don't know you have an offer. So to fix low sales from views, this is all I obsessed over. Our cognitive load structure. Problem, example, solution. But more importantly, this section here, the example section. Because every time I'm planning, I ask myself a question, and that is, how can I tell a story that shows the viewers how I got my clients a result to make the example? So if you look through my videos in 2025, you'll notice nearly every single one, I share a story about a client. So that it might be a client who hit a breakthrough, who fixed a big mistake, who overcame a belief, who made a crap ton of money. And then I back it up with a screenshot that shows the proof too, which proves it's legit, and hardly anyone else will ever do that because they are lying or they're just lazy. Now, what happens when you do this consistently is your viewers watch one video after the other and naturally just start to think, I want them to help me too. So they start hunting for your links because they are hungry to work with you. So if you want to generate more sales from your views, what you need to realize is the ultimate currency on this planet isn't the money your clients pay you. It's the story you get from their results. One good story can be put absolutely everywhere in your marketing and in your content, and that one story could generate you 10 times more than what the original client paid. But also, these stories, they differentiate you and they reduce cognitive load. So they make your content better too. What I would say is focus on getting your client wins, and your channel and business will look after itself. Now, the final session I had this year is one that you really just have to do now. Otherwise, I don't think YouTube's going to work for you. And I'd say that 90% of businesses that I come across just ignore this. So to explain, let's just have a quick look at what YouTube has become. It's no longer a place where people just hop on a camera and talk about their hobbies because it's fun. YouTube is replacing television. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. It's attracting some of the biggest personal brands in the world. And the people at the top, they never say, do you know what? I'm just going to slap up a quick video. And they never wing it. They are putting insane amounts of time and effort and resources into their content to get their idea across that they have spent decades crafting. And because of that, They make videos that steal all your impressions. And to me, it blows me away. The amount of people who are like, I'll just slap up another video quickly. And then they go, wait, why isn't this working? To get results now, you basically have to become the pro in your niche. So how do you get to that level? Well, when I first started on YouTube, I had no subscribers, just like everyone else, and I asked myself, how am I going to compete with 2 million subscriber channels? And I thought, I got to make better content than them somehow. So I put a ton of effort into the content, and it worked. It's getting hundreds of thousands of views per video. And then I decided I need to pivot. This isn't me anymore. So I started this channel, and I was like, oh crap, now I'm in the business-ish niche, and I've got to compete against even stiffer competition. How on earth do I get ahead? So I asked the same question, but I already knew the answer. Try to make the best content in your space. Now, I'm not saying I do that, but I'm trying. But that is why in 2025, I went all in on learning how people actually learn. I took myself to lessons, physical real life lessons near actual humans in a school to learn how people are teaching and learning. Ugh. I studied cognitive load, structure, frameworks, sequencing, clarity, other personal brands, writing. I work with clients across hundreds of different niches, which let me see every flipping problem that stops people succeeding. And I turn all of those insights into new processes that make my clients get better results. And as a result, I then made better content and I can teach you guys better too. So my real obsession, since day one of doing this, and yours should be too, is simply how can I make content better than everyone else? And the answer is always the same. Time, effort, energy. Not listening to this advice telling you to just throw a video up and go with the vibes. So now you know this, and that you need to get very good at structuring your content. The best way to do that is to learn storytelling and to become a master storyteller. So watch this video next, and I will give you the exact storytelling system that I have been using for years that will grow your channel and your business and will turn more viewers into buyers. Have a great year. I hope you smash it in 2026. I'm off to play with my balls.